The embankments and the islands that they contain came to be known as polders, after the Dutch word for low-lying islands surrounded by protective dikes. And you can see the polder embankments here in the sort of pink color. The polders have been implicated in many of the ecological problems the region is experiencing today, most of which are commonly attributed to climate change. So our job as development practitioners is to help manage that structural transformation for the benefit of the people who live in those villages. So even as this unidentified village in the practitioner's parable is intended to refer to essentially any village anywhere in the world, it also very concretely pertains to the vision of development generated under the adaptation regime in Bangladesh in particular. Khulna is an important region for understanding these dynamics, both because it's experiencing a great variety of ecological changes, and also because it's home to the greatest density of climate change adaptation programs in Bangladesh. These are images from Polder 23, the first site in Khulna. As you can see, most of the trees in this village have died, and little else grows there but shrimp. The idea is that if the landscape will become increasingly waterlogged and salinated, making it unsuitable for agriculture, then it will be more suitable for commercial shrimp production. Never mind that waterlogging and increased soil salinity are themselves caused by shrimp cultivation. Shrimp cultivation requires approximately 10% of the amount of labor as rice farming, which means that the very significant populations of farmers, in particular the majority sharecroppers and landless day laborers, are forced to migrate out of Khulna to find work. In this way, the transition from rice farming to shrimp cultivation plays a really critical role in the adaptation regime, both in the sense that it contributes to many of the social and ecological changes it claims to avert, and also that as a solution to climate change, it facilitates a particular vision of a developed future in both rural and urban communities. This logic then of expanding shrimp aquaculture as a climate change adaptation strategy shares important parallels with longer histories of development through transformed landscapes and production relations in the region. This slogan painted outside the Fisheries Department in Khulna speaks to this directly. It says, Mach Chingri Poribesh Daridra Mukto Bangladesh, which we might roughly translate to, Bangladesh will be free of poverty when the landscape is covered in fish and shrimp. It is this same logic that was indicated in a 2013 World Bank report, which noted that improving rural productivity by modernizing agriculture and diversifying non-farm activities in order to free up manpower for use in more productive activities is also essential for growth. So as we think about this question of global discourses of urban climate futures and what their implications are for rural communities, it's essential that we contextualize them in relation to these longer historical visions of development that demand agrarian dispossession to facilitate urban growth. So very briefly in conclusion, I've demonstrated that adaptation both responds to and produces social and ecological transformation. And through the adaptation regime, global discourses and visions of climate futures are mediated by existing political economies of development at the local scale. More broadly, this work demonstrates that Bangladesh is not more vulnerable to climate change because of some natural proclivity of this new global environmental shift. It is more vulnerable because of a planned historical process of development within the global capitalist system. My argument, therefore, is not that the ecological crisis in southern Bangladesh is not related to climate change. It is that the ecological crisis cannot be understood outside of the social, political, and economic drivers which have produced it historically. This intervention then is important not just in Bangladesh, but in all communities that are navigating uncertain and unequal socio-ecological futures in the time of climate change.